Welcome our listener. My name is Wahome Ngari. I'm from the Personal Finance Academy. And we have a good discussion because we want to empower ourselves so that we can do better with the money. And that's what we have been doing. For a number of days, we actually have a master class which is going on now. And like-minded, progressive people are learning how to set their financial goals tonight, including how to prepare for retirement, set goals for retirement and home ownership, because that's part of the basic formula for wealth creation, something that they didn't teach us in school, but we're always happy to welcome anybody who's willing to learn. So if somebody is wondering what this is all about, we say it's an open program. It's on Zoom, and you're free to take a slot, 2 hours tonight between 7 and 9 p.m. You might hear how to set out your goals. If you set out your goals at the start of the year, you can take an account at the middle of the year to see where we are. If you're thinking about preparing for retirement, and as we talk about 50s, we'll talk about retirement. If you're thinking about home ownership, I think you're well invited. Like always, you just need to text or WhatsApp, and our number is the same number, 0708 150 137. 0708 150 137. Somebody on the other side will be happy and willing to walk you into how you will join the course.
Let me just remind our listeners that we've been doing a series. We started with the 30s, where we say it was the golden year. We went to the 40s, and now we are in the 50s. 40s, we say that life starts at 40, but here at 50, is it ending or is it continuing? And I love the fact that you say that this is the empty nest. It is that time that you are getting back to yourself again. Yes.
True. And just like you said, and thank you for the recapping last week, financial planning is really never a one-size-fits-all, because it's an evolving process. It mirrors the different stages of life, and because we are different individuals, we all have different things that we have to do. At every phase, we have financial priorities, and as you go into another phase, that shifts, and some things become more pressing, some things become less relevant. And so recognizing the stages allows us to be proactive in adjusting our strategy so that we can have something we call long-term financial well-being. So in our show today, we take the 50s. This is the start of the emptiness and what we call pre-retirement, because in the 40s we say that was the time when we were raising children, we were managing competing demands, and that was the consolidation phase in life when there was a lot of heavy lifting. Just like you said, Kate, in the 20s we said young, free and single, we are experimenting with money because we are earning money for the first time. Mm-hmm. And then we said in the 30s, this is the time we settle. This is the time we expand, the foundation phase. In the 40s, we say there's a consolidation phase when there's heavy lifting. And we say there's heavy lifting because we have to deal with bigger budget items in life, maybe home ownership. Children are going into college, and we want to establish maybe a home, a bigger home, another business. So there's quite a lot. But 50s mark the start of the emptiness and what we call pre-retirement, because even if somebody was an employee, this is the stage now where it feels like it is time to prepare to leave. So the 50s is the emptiness. When you're saying emptiness, children move out slowly. They go to the hostel. I think they go to boarding school, then the hostel, then they get into their early 20s and they move out. And so sort of wherever we are, age is showing. In the 50s, no matter what you do, age is going to show, We try anti-aging creams and they're not working. We're trying to dye the hair, it is not working. You can't keep it away. It shows the things you are fast to do, now the body is not regularly there. And we are focused at the end of our full-time careers as we go into the next phase. So, and no, in the 50s, people always have different shades, like we say. It could be a couple who've always been together, or their married life. They may have had children or never had children, and they've ended up in that place. Could be a couple with grown children. Sometimes, life throws curveballs, so it could be somebody who's divorced along the way. It could be somebody who's widowed, or maybe somebody who's always been a single parent with children or not having children. So they are different type of people. And why we're saying is an emptiness is because children are in high school, then in college, then they start working. So normally the biggest issue here is we're paying fees and we're doing what we call financial patient. Your children are not with you, but you're paying for them. You're paying for the hostel. Even if they're working and they get hard up, they come back for support. And at a personal level now, we are focusing on increasing our retirement savings, because retirement is very, very eminent. We're looking at investments, maybe starting another business, whatever we are going to do when we leave our work, or we're building or purchasing a retirement home. We want somewhere to stay. Some people have been staying in the city all their life. And here they're looking, maybe going back to either to the village or to an out of town home. There are many people who are supporting aging parents at that point. You might have aging parents, and as they get older, now you don't support them from the village. They tend to come to where you are living if you have the space. But sometimes you're supporting your siblings. Maybe your parent has said, take care of your younger sister, take care of the younger brother, so you become another parent. There are people who are obviously looking at how to finance their health care. Like I said, age comes with health issues. And if you're leaving your employer, now you have to think about how to finance your health care. To have some healthcare arrangements. And looking at the Kenyan situation, when people, as they approach retirement, they are shifting financial priorities, and we want to look at these shifting financial priorities because they're important when we are looking at how to prepare. So in this age group, there are a few key financial planning challenges, and I think the first one is planning to fill in if you have any pension gap. You're certain you're going to retire, and you have an idea of the lifestyle you have had, and if you're not earning, then your pension needs to carry you through. So in the 50s, most people realize they have inadequate savings for pension, and especially those in informal settlement. They never had any pension arrangement. Maybe you've just been running the business, you've just been running the farm, so you have no NSSF, you have no private scheme, so that becomes sort of a challenge. There are those also in employment who over-rely on NSSF. The only money that I'm saving for retirement is what is going to NSSF. And surely, in retirement, excuse me, that will be insufficient income. That is not going to sustain. And so sometimes, we have delayed or insufficient contribution to personal pension schemes. We have started fairly late. So if somebody is in the 50s, I think it is always important to do something. Project ahead and see, when I retire, how much money do I need? How much will I be needing every month? And it's not a big equation to get, because if I know how much I'm spending now, when I retire, with the effect of inflation, we can be able to do projection for that. And that's where financial advisors come in. They can help you to do that projection. With that projection, now you can consider how to increase your retirement savings more aggressively, before retirement. There are different ways of being more aggressive. So if you did not have like a personal pension program, you can set up a personal pension program. If you are part of the employer program, you can do additional voluntary contribution. That means you can save in a bit more. So you can set up a personal pension, or you can actually increase your contributions. Of course, the other thing is to explore other sources of retirement income. It could be real estate investments, it could be shares, it could be other funds, things that is going to help finance our retirement. So the bigger focus there is to say, when I retire, where is the money going to come from? And start working around that, aggressively focus on that and increase the money that you will have when you get to retire. The second concern is about healthcare costs and medical insurance. Obviously, the cost of healthcare continues to increase, and as we age, sometimes we got age-related illnesses. Issues like hypertension come with age, arthritis comes with age, diabetes comes with age. All those things come with age. So it's good to be conscious, and that calls for a few things. Number one is lifestyle. And lifestyle is very key, not being docile, becoming active, even in exercising, in sports. It requires a lot of discipline now, dietary discipline, like what are we eating and what are we not eating. But it's also important to ensure that We take care of that. So that's one of the challenges that we have, that medical costs are going up because of age-related illnesses. And maybe now, with the experience we have with SHA and SHIF, I think the coverage is insufficient, and sometimes the money is not coming when it is needed. And so there are times when we need more. So this is why, as a way of addressing this, maybe it's a time to upgrade our medical cover. Just see what is our medical cover. We can go to the private medical schemes the companies have, and see that we have some medical cover. It is also important, like I said, consider lifestyle. Are we exercising? And the exercises don't have to be strenuous. You know, it can be walking, it can be jogging, it can be sit-ups, whatever regime. And here, there's always advice. We need to work with an exercise expert, because sometimes we strain ourselves. We've seen a lot of people strain their back because they went into lifting, and lifting maybe was not the right thing. So again, working with people who can help us. And a group activity is always a good thing for exercise. I see ladies, I think ladies are very proactive. You know, where they actually now decide every Wednesday we come together and we'll have an exercise session. I think men, we are left alone. Although a couple of us will say, okay, let me go to the golf club, or let me, but it is something personal that we have to take care of. So we're doing exercise, we are looking at our medical scheme, we're enhancing our medical scheme, and looking at our family history, because now this is where hereditary issues come. If there's a family history of hypertension, there's a family history of arthritis, a family history of diabetes, or any of those things that come from the heritage, it is good to think about what we call long-term health concerns. How can I be able to take care of long-term health concerns? And even the insurance industry has products that help in long-term health. So that's one area where there are issues for the people in the 50s, and an area that requires some attention. And I think we consider those kind of attention. I think we'll be doing good service to ourselves. Will be preparing for retirement with more confidence. The other concern is around debt, managing loans and mortgages, because there are many people when they come into the 50s, maybe if they had a mortgage, the mortgage is still not paid, they have a car loan, they have personal debts, and sometimes, you know, we also have high interest loans. We have borrowed from the digital lender, we have borrowed from the Shiro, or we even borrowed from the SACCO, and those becomes quite a challenge, because as we're getting into retirement, we do not want to have any debt. So in terms of looking for solutions, I think it's good to prioritize clearing the debts before retirement, that when we get into retirement, we do not have any debts that we are going to look at. And so we want to clear the high interest debts first. So it's always important to take an inventory of the debts we have. What debts do I have? So that I can figure out how much is outstanding, what is the interest rate I'm paying, how much time do I have, so that now I can do prioritization. Which one needs to be paid first? And as we prioritize, we always say the ones that have high interest, those are the ones that we are going to pay first. And looking at the debts, we can consider which ones can we refinance, which ones can we consolidate. We borrow maybe from the SACCO, we pay all the high interest ones. Which ones can we negotiate for a bit more time? But in the 50s, it is time to avoid taking long-term debts. That's not the time to go into long-term debts. You cannot go into a mortgage. You can't take a car loan for 8 years. Those are not ideal, because they're going to push us into a pension season. So those are the ones that we actually avoid. So managing debts is a critical thing in the 50s. We are not saying we cannot get into debt. In fact, if you're in business, you realize at that point the business itself can actually be able to do with business loans. But at a personal level, that's something to avoid. The fourth concern in the 50s, the fourth issue, is supporting adult children and the extended family. It is very, very common in the country we live that nobody is an island. Now the younger generation have discovered supporting other people, and they call it black tax. People in the 50s don't see it that way. They've come from the age where it was appropriate to support each other. And that's why there are many people who are in the 50s who are still supporting their adult children. And there are many places where you support your adult children. They might be young adults, and you have to pay for their education. You know, high school college and post-college. You know, your child is just graduated, but they need to register for a professional course. You know, they need to do some work. So it behoves the parent to support them in that. If your son or daughter came to that point and they have a wedding to do, you know, the traditional part, the cultural part, the dowry things, that's a parental responsibility. That's not for the children. And even if they were going to do a wedding, a church wedding, a white wedding, they may not have the resources. So this comes back to the parent. If they got unemployed, and this is very common for young people nowadays, I think most employers are taking people on contract. So the contract has come to an end. They've lost their job. So it is up to you to decide, do I continue paying their rent or do they move back home? And most times it may make sense to actually continue supporting them wherever they are. Yes, training them to have some savings, but before they get the savings, we need to support them. That's what is called financial outpatient, and it is an important area. It is something that we obviously have to do. The other support is assisting aging parents or relatives. You might have aging parents who are unwell, they don't have a pension scheme, whatever they were doing, they're running a farm is not running very well, or you might have relatives that you need to support. You're supporting your siblings, you have taken up your children for your brother. So that's a whole issue to consider, and as part of that consideration, I think it is important to set boundaries for financial support so that we avoid compromising ourselves. You know, you might support people so much, you carry so much burden that you even forget to upscale your retirement savings. So it is good to set boundaries to decide, here I can help, because even if it were children, I think we will support them, but the areas you leave them also to support themselves. Somebody may have lost a job, but they can't sit in the house the whole day. So they need to find a way of earning some upkeep for themselves so that they can be able to pay some things. Encouraging children to become financially dependent, I think this is very, very critical. As they start earning, and this starts early. And I know, Kate, we have discussed money lessons for children. If they know how to do saving and they do savings early, and it starts all the way from the piggy bank. From the piggy bank, we can move to a money market fund. You can introduce them into the circle. You can introduce them into budgeting. If they have the financial discipline, you will find even when they become young adults, they will not come to you every day. They might come to you once in a while when they have something major. But if you teach them, you encourage them to become financially independent, then they will not obviously be pulling you down. So as we support extended family, as we support children, we're saying, yes, let's set some boundaries, tell ourselves we can't learn people's lives, people have to run their life, and if it's our children, we will encourage them so that they become financially dependent, so that they can run their course. As we do that, it will be wrong for us now to depend on them. You know, the little money they earn, you're asking them to give it to you. No, that would be very wrong. Because if they don't get their foundation, they don't set themselves right, then they'll never stand on their feet. And that's going to become a perpetual problem all along.
Okay, let us take a very quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we continue with the conversation, financial planning in the 50s. We were looking at the black tax. Mr. Homi, you're saying the 50-year-olds do not view black tax the way we are viewing. Okay.
So as we approach retirement, we said we have to face shifting financial priorities, and like I said, the first one was about retirement planning, making sure if we have any gap of our finances, we should be able to deal with whatever gap it is. I think that's clear. We have to increase the money we are putting in. We say the other one is healthcare. I know you were smiling when I said the age does not hide. And so we got age-related illnesses, and that is where we need to have a better lifestyle, exercise. We need to upgrade our medical cover, and we need to think about long-term health. The third one we said is about debt. As we get to this age, we want to minimize our exposure to debt, especially long-term debt, and we need to clear the debts we have. The fourth issue is about supporting adult children and extended family. Yes, and I said people in the 50s don't see it as a black tax. Now, they see it as a responsibility, as a social responsibility. They've grown in an age where you took care of all the others. We're saying the reality of time now is they must set their boundaries, and they must also encourage their children to be financially independent. You cannot do everything for them. Now, the fifth issue that is of concern is issues around inflation and the cost of living. That the inflation keeps on eroding purchasing power. This affects savings and living costs. So living costs will go up and savings will come down because, every other now and then the cost of just basic things, unga, maziwa, keep going up. Remember, when you're retiring, your income might be constant, and you don't have a way of increasing it, but the cost of living will be going up. That means you end up with less money as you get into that space. Because there will be the rising cost of utilities, fuel, food, and this tends to strain fixed retirement incomes. And a lot of people actually suffer a lot here because, yes, your income is coming as a constant amount, but always has issues. And that is why part of the thing we need to do is look at how we structure our investments. So we need some inflation-resistant assets. In your investment portfolio, you need the inflation-resistant assets. What do I mean, the resistant assets? Investments that don't get affected by inflation. Things like real estate. If you have rent or property and inflation goes up, rents tend to go up. Okay, so rents go up. So they're actually able to deal with that. If you have treasury bonds, yes, the return is fixed, but you keep getting the money in there. So I think the solution here is to diversify income sources so that it is not only one source. Maybe some dividend there, some rental income there, some side hustle there. Because again, in the 50s, people are agile, people are knowledgeable, people have the energy, so they can actually be able to do something. So to deal with that effect of inflation, we need to diversify our sources, maybe go to some dividend somewhere, some rental somewhere, some side hustle elsewhere. That will augment our pension money that we have. The other concern is estate planning and wealth transfer. Now, many Kenyans neglect this tough subject of estate planning, like looking through and saying, when I am not there, what will happen with all these things that are put together? And this leads to a lot of family disputes, and we have a lot of cases where there are family disputes because there was no will, there was no trust, there was no succession planning that was done anywhere. So these unclear inheritance plans can result into legal battles under the Kenya succession law, and that becomes a big problem. Children get dispossessed, widows get dispossessed, the families end up into disputes. And so it's good to understand this area and maybe draft a legal will. With the assistance of a lawyer, we can draft a legal will, and we're going to avoid what we call a probate delay. Things will take very long. But even before we write a legal will, there are some quick wins here and there. There are very many places where just by naming an next of kin, by naming a beneficiary, we do not even need a will. It's good. My circle money go if I am not there? Where will my employee benefits go if I'm not there? The money I have in the chama, the money I have in the insurance contract. So if you have that, it's very easy to name a next of kin, and that will shorten the process. But then there's still room for the legal will, because there are many things that have to go the probate system. The money you have in the bank, the properties you own, that has to go through the whole of that process. Now, the other thing, and I think times are getting better, families are learning how to maybe put up a family trust, and that's a way of protecting the assets and making the wealth transfer very easy. As couples, where there's matrimonial property, there are different ways of owning the property so that maybe all the titles don't fall in one person's name. They might be jointly owned, they might be tenancy in common, or somebody can set up a family trust and all the assets are owned by the family trust with clear rules and clear provisions of what would happen if a wealth transfer was required. So discussing inheritance plans with the family would obviously prevent conflicts. And we've seen many families where this conflict has become bad, or sometimes, the family is, the will is there, the people who get the assets dispossess others, maybe they sell it and everybody gets into issues. And I think because we have legal systems in this country, we have lawyers who understand this system, I think it will be a good thing to look for help from the people who understand. Because that estate planning and wealth transfer is a big issue, and I think the 50s is a good time to actually settle that matter, because as we get older now, sometimes, we get old age issues, issues of dementia, poor health, and that makes it very difficult for that to be handled at that point. The other concern is investment risk and low returns. There are many people in their 50s, they just keep loyal bank accounts. All the money is kept in the bank. Of course, when we keep the money in the bank, the rate of return is lower than inflation, then we're losing the value of the money. Okay, we're losing the value. We're also exposing it, because when you keep it in just one place, if something went wrong, then that can become a whole big process. Now, obviously, the others who feel like time has not worked well for them, so they are looking into very quick returns, excessive risks. And that's why we've seen a lot of people in their 50s get caught up in pyramid schemes. You promise very high returns, and you see, this one can give me big money quickly, because if you feel like you're running late, you want something that's going to give you big money quickly. People go into speculative land deals, and then you get conned along the way. So the whole idea here, maybe the solution is to shift into safer income generating investments. If you're looking into investments, let's not go to the pyramid schemes. Let's not go to the raw return. We can actually go to safer places. We can go to the government bonds. We can go to the money market funds. We can go to rental property. Those are secure, but they're also giving you a good return. And this is ideally where we need to consult a financial advisor, so that we can have a balanced portfolio. So that now we are not keeping money where it's suffering from inflation, and we're not taking a lot of risk. We're taking a portfolio. And a lot of people in the 50s, for some reason, they are shy from asking for advice. It's very interesting, generational issues. We're seeing that Gen Zs and millennials will actually even go to a psychologist when they suffer burnout and they need help. But a lot of these older people, they think that's a way of life. They don't even look for help, so they actually bear it out. And even in the financial angle, we see younger people are more willing. They'll start with Dr. Google, and if Dr. Google doesn't give them an answer, they'll try something else. So it is good now, if you're in the 50s, to appreciate this is an area where you can get help from others, so you do not have to keep fighting on your own. So looking for a financial advisor will be a good thing that can be able to help out. Maybe one more issue I want to talk about is about job security and early retirement risks. Now, corporate layoffs or business downtimes are very common now. And when corporate layoffs come, what do the employers do? The older people are the ones they dispense with first. Why? They are more expensive. Maybe the younger people who are not more expensive are more agile now with technology and everything. So the possibility as you get into your 50s of being laid off gets much, much more higher. Of course, business downtimes also come. You're running a business and now you're not able to do. And this forced early retirement. Sometimes it causes lack of alternative income streams, because yes, I had this business and something has happened and I cannot be able to run it. So the way to look at this maybe is to sort of develop what we call passive income streams. At that point in life, you have quite a bit of experience. You have some passions. So from your experience, you have to consider, can I go into a consultancy? Even if part-time, can I go into a consultancy? It will give me it will be a side business. It's going to give me some passive income. Can I go to agribusiness? Because maybe you have a piece of land, or you can even lease piece of land, and you understand a couple of things. But more importantly for people in the 50s is to upscale. You have to upskill. You have to learn new skills. There were days people thought computers would take away jobs. Computers did not take away jobs. Computer took out people who didn't like computers. Now, AI is not going to take your job. AI is going to take out the people who ignore it. So don't ignore AI. As you're getting in, it's good to upskill ourselves so that sometimes we can do part-time work, lecturing here, consultancy here, and this is going to make it easier even post-retirement, because if you retire at 55, you retire at 60, you're still young, you're still knowledgeable, you're still resourceful, and you can actually use that resourcefulness to get yourself into somewhere. So as we summarize, I think we can give quickly some final recommendations, and I hope this has made sense to the people in the 50s. We're saying maximize your pension contributions to NSSF, and if you're an NSSF, please make sure your second tier is outsourced. That means it goes to a private administrator, or they give you a better result, and it's good to go to a private scheme. You can actually have a private scheme. It is a good thing to clear your high interest rates before retirement. If you can clear all debts, fine. If you cannot clear all of them, clear the high interest ones and don't get into new long-term debts. Secure your medical insurance. Make it as comprehensive as you can. SHA is necessary, but private cover is also necessary. And again, the lifestyle that goes with it, the exercises and the eating. Diversify investments. Let's not be in only one space. So yes, real estate is good, money market is good, special funds are good, bonds are good, stocks are good, but diversify. And the last thing is, let's accept that time has come when we need to do succession planning. So it's not only seeing who is going to run what, but we need to create a will, we need to create a estate plan, and that way we protect our family health, and we allow it to go to the next generation. A wise person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. This estate planning is part of what? So by addressing these challenges, anybody who is in the 50s can secure a stable and comfortable retirement. I think that's an important thing. You want to have a stable and secure retirement. So you need to address these issues proactively. You need to get involved. By getting involved, you can achieve financial stability, you can secure your family's future, and you can retire comfortably. If you need help, a lot of times people say, how can I? If you need help, get in touch. We can always be able to help. And the other thing that you can actually do is financial education. Remember what Prophet Hosea said, my people perish for lack of knowledge, because they have rejected knowledge. So we do not need to keep saying, I wish I know. You have the ability to look for it. And now it's everywhere. You can read a book. I told another group the other day, if you never read Rich Dad Poor Dad, maybe this is the time. If you never read the Richest Man in Babylon, that's another thing. Yeah, peers, you can learn from your peers. There's something they're doing. If you hear your friend is doing agribusiness and you're interested, learn from them. It is not too late to actually get somebody, an advisor to work with, and if you want, come to the masterclass. You're going to learn something, and you're going to learn something deeper. You're going to understand these aspects. So chat with us, and like I said, tonight we have a session. We're looking at goal setting, but if for you it's not learning you want, it's a consultation. You just get in touch with us. It is the same number, 0708 150 137, 0708 150 137. If you can do that, I think you can actually be able to move to the next level. We can actually get to the point of retirement with a fairly secure future and a lot of comfort. We have looked at 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I think we can rest us up.
Yeah.
The people in the 60s, don't say we neglected you. Now, just give us a chance so that God giving us room, we can look at other things.
Yeah.
Yes.